Hey guys, before the video gets underway, we're sitting at, I believe, 4 or 5 subscribers away from 600. If you're new here, drop me a sub here. If you've watched a couple of these and you're not subscribed yet, drop me a sub because we're really close to 600 and we're really making a lot of progress here. So thank you to you guys for making that possible. Welcome to Downtown Sports. My name is Downtown Stephen Brown, and in today's video, it's a series where I don't provide the content, but you guys are going to be providing it today. Reviewing your own armchair GMs that you sent me either direct message on Twitter or in the comments section of these videos. And again, if you guys would like to be featured in one of these videos in the future, all you have to do is come over to CapFriendly.com, create yourself an account, or else it will not save. You have to do that first. Come over to Interactive, Armchair GM, create a team, select your team. It doesn't have to be the Leafs. If you're a fan of another team that wants to make a trade with the Leafs and you want my opinion on it, you're more than welcome to submit it there. Select the season for next year, set your salary cap, sign your players, make your trades, and then drop the link to it published in this video, in the comment section of this video, otherwise I won't be able to find it. And let's just jump right into it. This one's brought to us by Yeti34. I believe your name is Kyle here on YouTube. And you're going to be offer sheeting Dylan Strome. Okay, you're bringing back Ron Hainsey, Dylan DeMello on a 4-year deal. Kyle Clifford, 3 years, $1 million. I mean, that's kind of inconsequential because you could just bury that in the minors at any time. So the 3 years doesn't really make a difference. Bringing back Jason Spezza. Dylan Strome for 5 years at $4 million. I don't know if he signs that contract or not, but if we take a look at the compensation here, I think that the Blackhawks, for $4 million and just a second-round pick, I think that the Blackhawks would end up matching that because even Dylan Strome's rights, just like the rights to his contract, are worth more than a second-round pick in a deal. So I don't think that that's the most realistic thing to expect here, but I mean, Dylan Strome is an interesting player that might be available this offseason, as the Blackhawks have mentioned, but I don't know if adding him in here makes this team any better. I feel like I'm a little bit higher on Alexander Kerfoot than most, but I think that we have enough players with Dylan Strome's skill set. I do like the potential of that player, though, and with the D-core here, I think that's why I don't really like the Dylan Strome move, because you're taking away $4 million from what you could use to get a little bit more creative here with this defense. I think I've shown ways that the Leafs can be a little bit more creative. All right, this one's from Onslaught77. I apologize, I do not know your name here on YouTube, but you know who you are watching this video right now. He's bringing back Travis Dermott, bringing back Freddie the GOAT, Ilya Mikheyev, Jason Spezza, Dylan DeMello on a 2-year deal. I mean, we're going to see really, really weird contracts for UFAs this summer. Either they're not going to get the value or they're going to be signing more years to make up for it, especially guys like Dylan DeMello, who I don't know how long he's going to be playing in the NHL for, but definitely for the next 2 years, 2 or 3 years, of course. Joe Thornton coming on a 1-year deal, $700K. We've discussed this numerous times before. Elliot Friedman in his 31 Thoughts, one of his columns, saying that Joe Thornton will make his salary fit, and it's not going to be a problem there. So $700K, 1 year for Joe Thornton. I like that. Kyle Clifford, a year, $1 million. Don't have a problem with that either. Jonas Brodin for Alexander Kerfoot and Andreas Janssen. I don't think that Andreas Janssen has the trade value he once did, but even if he did have that same value, I don't think that that trade goes through. And then you're trading Pierre Engvall, Kalle Rosen, and Rasmus Sandin. I don't. You did this on accident, right? This trade just feels so unnecessary to me because if you're looking, there's no one scratched, but there's $1 million in cap space, so you can easily add a scratched player here. I don't like the forward depth here at all. I just feel that this trade right here is so unnecessary to make because you're just picking away at your depth and you're just getting a 3rd and 4th round pick in exchange for it. I mean, this D-core minus Jonas Brodin, I mean, I don't mind it, but also I think that the Maple Leafs can be a little bit more creative than this to make their team better for next season. All right, and the last one that you guys have sent in here, Nixon1331, and he went through the trouble of bringing back all the RFAs and UFAs and whatnot, making some moves and whatnot. Interesting ones. Ilya Mikheyev on a 3-year deal, $2.5 million. I mean, I don't think that he does that, and it's kind of unique to his age, right? He's 25 years old, but he has an October birthday, so he's not going to be able to be a UFA this season or the next off season. It's going to be the season season after that. So 3 years would buy the Maple Leafs 1 UFA year, and I just don't think that he signs away a UFA year for that cheap in the negotiations. You're probably going to look to see Suitman Ilya Mikheyev come back on a 1, maybe 2-year deal if they can make the dollar amount work. But also, as I pointed out, Dan Milstein is the agent for Ilya Mikheyev and Alexander Barabanov, so maybe in signing Barabanov and promising to give him some NHL time, you're creating that goodwill with the agent and whatnot, and maybe Kyle Dubas will be able to get a half-decent deal on Ilya Mikheyev because of that. And also, when Ilya Mikheyev was injured, Kyle Dubas actually went to the hospital and spent a bunch of time with him. They watched soccer. I believe they played chess a little bit and whatnot. So there is a relationship there. And I mean, the guy's already got a brand deal and he's played 39 games here in Toronto. So I mean, why would he leave? But back to the Armchair GM now. Kyle Clifford, 2 years, $1.5 million. It's really pushing it on Kyle Clifford here, especially in the market that this offseason is going to be. Joe Thornton, 1 year, $1 million. I mean, it's reasonable enough, but I think Joe Thornton will come a little bit cheaper than that if he wants an opportunity to win a cup, just like Jason Spezza did this year. And you do have Jason Spezza coming back, although I do think he comes back for the same, just league minimum here, because he's comfortable at home, his family's here, he doesn't want to move his family again, and he doesn't really need the money. So $700K for him, $700K for Joe Thornton. You can save some change there. Kevin Shattenkirk, 3 years, $4 million. That's an interesting one. As we can see here on evolvinghockey.com or Evolving Wild's website, Kevin Shattenkirk had a decent season this year with the Tampa Bay Lightning in terms of expected goals above replacement. But we need to contextualize those numbers a little bit because I always like providing the context here. He was used more in an offensive role, and I don't necessarily think that that's the kind of defenseman that the Maple Leafs need, particularly on their team. But then going back to the season before then, even heavier splits, and this was the year that he was bought out by the Rangers. I mean, not a terrible season, but maybe not worth the 5.6 or $6 million-ish that he was getting paid beforehand. I mean, not terrible, but I mean, he would need power play time, and I really want to see Morgan Rielly and Rasmus Sandin take the reins in terms of defensemen on the power play next year. So I don't think that we need a Kevin Shattenkirk type defenseman here in Toronto. But I do like the idea of a guy like Shattenkirk. At least it's something different here. But looking at the trades, Kerfoot and Engvall for a second and a fifth. Kerfoot and Engvall are probably worth a little bit more than that, and it looks like you're just trading a bunch of guys for picks here. Travis Dermott for 2/3. Kapanen's worth a lot more than just the second-round pick. I mean, a former 20-goal guy and whatnot. I mean, if all Kapanen was worth was a second-round pick, I think the Leafs would have made that trade for Georgiev earlier in the season. I don't buy all of those rumors and whatnot. Kasperi Kapanen is 100% worth more in a trade than what Alexander Georgiev was and is right now. And if you don't believe me, I went through a list of about 8 or 9 goalie trades over the last 5 years of guys similar to Alexander Georgiev, and none of those guys fetched a roster player. It was just straight picks and prospects for a guy like Georgiev. So there's no precedence for a Kasperi Kapanen to be included in that trade. And I mean, Kasperi Kapanen, a former 20-goal scorer, I believe, last season, and especially someone that showed as much potential as he did in the back half of last season, worth a hell of a lot more than a second-round pick and Alexander Georgiev. But I mean, Janssen for a second, like I already said, Janssen I don't think has that much trade value here. So all the picks and whatnot kind of, I guess, balance out for the most part here. But $1.6 million in cap space here. You got 3 guys on the bench. You could probably make do without 2 of them here. So that would probably net you an extra $1.6 million, which would just allow you to keep Kasperi Kapanen here. And $1.5 million to Kyle Clifford, $1 million to Goat, $1 million to Joe Thornton. Take out Dennis Malgin here because you could slot in Kapanen and shave off some money from Spezza. You might be able to keep Travis Dermott as well and add a guy like Kevin Shattenkirk, or at least a defender making $4 million in his place. And I mean, I don't mind that at that point here, but I think just a little bit overpayments. You were very conservative here with this, but I don't think that this team is better than this year's team. I think it's a little bit worse just because there's not enough depth here, especially in the forward core and whatnot. And I don't think that Shattenkirk is the right answer particularly. Now, the last one here is going to be cheap bottom 6, big D in free agency by Muzzin9. Not one that you guys sent in, but one that I thought was a little bit interesting here. And it's going to be operating under a flat cap. And he is signing Alex Pietrangelo here. And if you guys want me to make a video on trying to fit Alex Pietrangelo here under a flat cap or maybe an $82.5 million, like a frozen cap, if you will. I mean, because right here with these trades here, I mean, Andreas Janssen being traded is a foregone conclusion in my mind already. But Engvall, Kerfoot, and Kapanen, that's a lot of depth to be given up here. And to just, I mean, oof, that bottom 6 is absolutely horrible. Travis Dermott at $875K. I mean, to sign a guy like Pietrangelo, I don't think that he gets $9.2 million. I don't see him getting more money than Roman Josi, which I believe signed for a hair over $9 million or whatnot. But, I mean, if you guys want me to make a video on how the Maple Leafs could still acquire Alex Pietrangelo or not, hit the like button on this video and leave a comment down below just saying Alex Pietrangelo so that I know that you guys made it this far into the video, and then we could discuss more from there. It's a happy medium and a fine line. Do you trade one of the 4 core guys? Do you sacrifice a bunch of depth to make a big splash like an Alex Pietrangelo or whatnot? Or do you set yourself up with some cheaper, more creative options so that you have some more doors open to you, maybe at next year's trade deadline, to make a couple of acquisitions and whatnot, and then take a real run at the playoffs once you've had more time to assess the situation and kind of feel out where the strengths and weaknesses of these teams still are after the moves you would make this offseason? But leave me a like on this video if you did like it. Subscribe for more, because more is always on the way. And guys, like I said, if you would like to be featured in one of these videos, all you have to do is go on CapFriendly, create an account, make your Armchair GM with all the trades and the signings and whatnot. You can even put some explanations in there so that I know what you're doing and where you're thinking. And then leave the link to it published in the comment section of this video, and I will feature it in the next one. Until then, guys, take care, and I hope you all are doing well.